Well, just have a look at that. I'm in Fontygary, and this is when the sea calls. Today, I'm here with Craig from Spooligan. We're going to have a sit down, we're going to have a chat, we're going to have a fish. We're just going to see what comes up. We're going to see what happens, as you should do when you're sea fishing. Just take every minute as it comes. What a place this is. I fished it a few times now. Haven't done particularly well, so I'm hoping to break that little spell of bad luck. But wow, I do love this mark. I'm told there's a good chance of a hound, some blondes. Who cares? We're fishing. That's all that matters. Okay, so here we are at Fonty. I'm here with Craig.
Hello everybody.
Gentleman who is who's responsible for Spooligan and all its little gadgets and stuff. I'm sure many of you own it, and I would fully agree it's a great bit of kit. We're here today, we're just going to talk about stuff. We're going to talk about fishing, we're going to talk about our lives, mental health, all these sort of things.
Yeah.
Why are we here? That's the other thing. Why do we go fishing? There's all these subjects that need talking about, really. I said in a previous video, and I think it's important to say, I think it was possibly about 3 or 4 years ago, both Dean Booker and Di Llewellyn made videos about mental health.
Okay. I think I remember Dean's one. Was it Sully Island?
I don't remember exactly where it was.
Well, one of them I watched with Dean was Sully Island.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, fair play.
Mm.
You know, at the time, my opinion of mental health, it was still probably like a bit like the old sort of school outlook on it, you know, kind of clandestine and quite quiet. But you know, now that I actually, you know, suffer it myself, you know, and I look back at Dean's video, I'm like, fair play to the guy for, you know, sort of speaking out now. So you know, and the stuff that you guys are doing and Real Minds.
Di followed up shortly afterwards with one as well, and for me personally, that was a changing point.
Okay.
For me in my fishing, because I was always a solitary fisherman. I fished by myself by design. I didn't particularly want to mix. It was just my way of getting away from people, really, because I thought that people were the problem, but actually the problem lies in here, doesn't it, sometimes?
Definitely, mate. And I know that kind of that mental health journey can isolate you, and you look within for answers. And this was prior to me even being diagnosed with mental health. I found myself a bit like that. You know, I drifted out of fishing a little bit, and it was only John and Lee who sort of, you know, got hold of me and said, "Come on, get out." And it did the world of good for me. So yeah, you know, fishing can be a fantastic tool for that, I think.
I totally agree. I think we spoke on the last time we met.
Yeah.
It saved. I can guarantee you, it saved my soul twice. Twice.
I remember you saying in that episode that
yes.
You know, some of the things that, you know, your addiction and things like that.
Yes.
Things that have kind of sort of dragged you down, and fishing's always pulled you back.
It's the one constant.
Yeah, definitely, and it's to try and describe it to somebody about what it does for you as a person, your soul, your sort of your general outlook on life. It's the anticipation, isn't it, of not knowing what the session's going to be. Is it going to be a blank, or is it going to be a PB, or is it not really about fishing? You bumped into somebody like today. There's a chap just behind the cameras down there who's just waved at you. Met him for the first time, and as I arrived, he was like, "Oh, I'll just be watching you." Oh no, sorry about that. And it's that is the bit that I'm really beginning to love, and hence why the beach cast started, and you know, kind of meeting people for the first time, like Gareth, who I know is with you guys at the gyms.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, the thought of driving all the way to Cornwall to meet a stranger who I've never met to fish with would have frightened the life out of me.
Yes. Yeah.
But I'm now sort of forcing myself into those situations, and it seems to be working wonders. And my self-confidence,
yes, I agree,
and things like that. So, yeah, fishing is definitely a vehicle or a mechanism for me, and like a path to recovery of getting back to the old Craig.
I totally relate to you with the Cornwall thing, because I, for a long time, have been pigeonholed into certain fishing areas. I look at the tides, that tide, this place, all within probably around about a 20-mile radius of my house. And I never ever took myself out of that because the confidence wasn't there.
Okay.
I've had anxiety about going fishing by myself because in unknown places.
Yeah.
But it changed when I forced myself, like you said, I forced myself, I'm going to go somewhere today, and I just got in the car and I went. I actually just drove to Minehead and did a bit of fishing in Minehead.
Okay.
But that again was a massive thing for me because I just did it. I enjoyed the journey down there. I enjoyed listening to my music. I enjoyed thinking about the 2 marks I was going to fish that day.
It is. It's kind of
Cathartic.
very cathartic, and it kind of pushes out the negativity that day-to-day life can give you. You know, whether it's worrying about bills or, you know, other domestic stuff that's going on in your life. You become so focused on what you're doing in terms of where you're going, especially like you say, somewhere new, a mark you don't fish regularly or you've never fished before. You know, you're thinking about what you're going to do, what's your tactics, what's the tide. You may have done a bit of research prior to going there. Yeah, it kind of takes over that space in your mind and fills it with good fishing stuff.
That's right.
And yeah, it's working. It's absolutely working for me, and especially doing this, because I think we said earlier, I was never meant to be this side of the camera.
No, me.
Purely because my self-confidence and my self-belief was probably at an all-time low.
Yeah.
But because of the way Spooligan's gone on and the sort of need to sort of put videos out and things like that, I'm coming this side of the camera, and it's really helping me.
Is it?
Really helping me, yeah. I would never have spoken like this.
No.
You know, 15 years ago, as a cocky rugby-playing designer, I'd speak to anyone. You know, to speak in front of like the board of a company and present ideas, no problem. I'd walk in there like I own the place. But then, like I say, the last 8 to 10 years, I have got thoughts on what may have caused it. I don't know if that is, and you know, when I've spoken to medical professionals, they just say, oh yeah, it can be a contributing factor and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever really know what caused it, or whether it's just a chemical thing as I'm getting older. I know testosterone dwindles as I think it's post 30. Yeah. So I'm nudging 50. So yeah, I'm guessing my testosterone's in the basement. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what it is, but I do know, like yourself, that fishing is really helping.
Do you think that life has changed quite dramatically in the last 10 years? Obviously, COVID changed it again. But do you think the last 10 years of your life, you say you're nearly 50 now, so you would have been 40?
Yeah. There's been life events that I could probably attribute some things to. Divorce. There's other couple of things that have happened in the last 3 or 4 years, which I'd rather not say on camera, but you know, domestic stuff at home, which ordinarily would have probably destroyed me. But this kind of determination for sort of self-healing, I've always been one to try and solve a problem by myself. I'm determined, you know, and I always want answers to questions and puzzles, and I like to work things out myself. So I wasn't in a place a few years ago to be able to do that, but things have happened and I'm like, right, come on. I had a conversation with myself, let's sort this out, you know. And fishing was the springboard for it. You know, John and Lee, who I'll have to thank for, you know, the dragging me out. I remember the first session back. I mean, I haven't cast a bloody line in years. It was down Ogmore, and yeah, rusty wasn't the word. It was terrible. I had this crappy little headlamp, which was like a candle in a jam jar, and then they had these big, powerful LED lenses. And despite feeling grossly inadequate in terms of kit and casting ability, I loved it. I had a little small-eyed ray, and I was like, do you know what? Yeah, man, I've missed this. I've really missed this. Yeah. And like you say, it's a consistent that you've returned to, and yeah, it's definitely helped me.
I spend a lot of time thinking about fishing, and I do it on purpose. It's not because I guess I am obsessed with it, I guess.
I think most people I've spoken to recently are. Gareth, I didn't go on, he's bloody the most passionate, obsessed guy I know about fishing. But
there's a lot worse obsessions, isn't there? And I obsessed about my addictions daily, daily, for weeks on end, and that was how my life was for many years, a couple of decades. But now my life, I think about, right, I've looked at the tide for Friday, it's now Monday, I know where I'm going to go, I'm going to start building some rigs for that location. I'm then thinking about that location and watching the weather, so we're into Tuesday, Wednesday.
All positive stuff, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know?
Into Wednesday, Tuesday, you're still looking at the weather. By Thursday, you're ready to go, you've got your bait ready, you're thinking, right, I need this, I might need that, I can get some on the way, I can do that. Like, you're thinking all the time, you're thinking in that zone. And when you actually get here, it's almost like a small part of that journey, isn't it? Because
For sure.
that whole week you've occupied your mind with that one moment.
I've always been somebody who has to have something to look forward to.
Mm.
You know, whether it be a goal I want to achieve, or something like a holiday, or saving up to buy something like that. And in small chunks, a fishing session's like that, isn't it? You kind of, like you've said, you've mapped out a window where you're not working or you haven't got family commitments, and you're like, right, okay, I'm going that day. Where can I go? Right, that's it. That's the plan. Rigs, bait, weather, tides. You know, and you kind of, you're planning it, you're thinking about it, and you're consuming your mind with positive stuff. Yeah, definitely.
I think for anybody that sort of struggles to get out of the house to go fishing, sometimes I think for me, I have, even up to in the last 4 years, there were times when I couldn't get out of bed to go and do anything. So, but now I'm in a frame of mind where if I'm fishing, I am up with that alarm, I'm gone. I'm gone, and that's a completely different me than it was 5 years ago. And that is huge for me, because it's given me a drive, as we've said, a motivation to get out there in this. I mean, look around, it's incredible, isn't it? I mean, you can see all of the contacts and what over there, Minehead, and it's just an incredible setting. I mean, looking down through here, I mean, that's been there since the dawn of time, and here we are.
Well, that is the most southerly land point in Wales, that point there.
Yeah. What's that called?
That's Roos Point.
That's Roos
Point. So that's the most southerly land-based point in Wales. Obviously, you've got islands which are further south, but that point there, just behind it, there's a sort of large slate cenotaph or monolith. I don't know how you call it. A large rock that denotes that mark. I totally agree. I mean, I've always liked outdoors, especially rugby player, things like that. And I did get to a point where I was kind of isolating myself indoors and looking for reasons not to go and do something. You know, and whether it was an energy thing, something inside my mind was preventing me. But now, like you say, the planning, the thought of going gives me the energy, gives me the thing to push beyond any blockages or sort of barriers that my mind might build. And like, prime example, that trip to Cornwall with Gareth, I just thought, no, I'm going to do it. And I loved the journey, and that's why amazing. I made that daft video of like that time lapse driving all the way down the A30.
It was brilliant, that was.
It was just something to occupy me, listen to the music, and there was daft stuff at the service. I was doing some sort of weird dance which didn't really come out in the time lapse, but to do that in front of people in a car park, I would never have done that.
No.
I mean,
that speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just the daft me coming back, and probably anyone who's known me from an early age will know that I'm a bit of a clown, especially with this beer involved. And I lost that the last 8 or 10 years. I became this kind of monotone shadow of who I was, and it frustrated me as a person to not be Craig.
We can slip into these zones, can't we? And sometimes we get in these zones and we don't even know we're there. And I think I've been thinking about this because, like you said earlier, I've never thought I'd be this side of the camera.
No.
Never ever in a million years. But I'm glad I'm here now.
No, definitely. It's like you say, cathartic and.
But I think with modern times, there's 100,000 sea fishing videos out there, and if anybody's watching these sort of videos, it's an inspiration, I think, to get out there, is to see what other people are doing. And do you know what I was thinking as well? What I love about this community, the sea fishing community we've got, there's no judgment at all. It doesn't. There may be somewhere, but I haven't seen it yet. There are other fishing cultures where you can be judged by the rods on your tripod, or not your tripod, your what do they call it in the kite world? The
pod
on the pod. And I'll tell you what, I've been on lakes before, and a guy will come over, and before actually talking to me, they're inspecting my kit.
Oh, right.
And you're thinking, hang on, is it? And if it's not quite up to standard, you won't ever see a carp fisherman with two odd reels, two odd buzzers. Do you know what I mean? But here, everybody is different, and I think that's definitely something I'm learning. That everyone's different in terms of how they fish, what they fish with. Yeah. And prime example, Hugh there was saying, because he's fishing with his Zolcrons today. Yeah. And he was fishing somewhere recently, and someone went over and said, "Oh, Zolcrons." Shit, mate. Really?
Yeah. And he was like, "You bet off with centuries." Well, I got centuries wrong, but I like using these. They're,
Yeah.
they're good value for money. They're cracking rods. I'm like, you know, there is an element of, what's the word? Snobism? Snobbist?
Yeah.
Snobbist?
Yeah.
Fishing snobs? I don't know. Does it link to tackle tarts? Maybe a little bit, because
Yeah.
I am self-confessed becoming one. I never used to be. And I've definitely learned that, you know, I can turn up with however many thousands of pounds worth of kit, and the guy next to me on the beach has got an Argos setup, which probably cost him, you know, less than some of the line I bought, and then boosh, he catches much bigger, better fish than me. So it's not all about the kit.
It's irrelevant.
It's the activity, the community, the being out in it, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, I can spend as much as I want and study it, the theory, the baits, rigs, hooks. I can do all of that. And Fred Bloggs next to me will smash it. So that's the exciting part of it, I think,
Yeah.
is it doesn't always necessarily have to be about the kit or thing.
It's
Yeah.
I would say, you know, it has to be just what you're comfortable with. It's all down to the user. You know, we've got two completely contrasting kit setups here, haven't we?
Yep.
You've gone for the T1000s. I've got the Tip Tornado matches. Slosh on one. You've got the fixed spool.
Yep.
It doesn't matter, does it?
No,
It
not at all.
absolutely doesn't matter, because we're all doing the same thing. We've both got baits in that water right now.
Yeah. Hugh was saying earlier about casting, because he was having a little, because he's a multiply user.
Yeah.
He's having a little, you know, wetting his line, getting warmed up. He said, I'm not the best caster, but you know, I ain't changing. I've been doing it for 40 years. I said, mate, if it catches fish, it works.
Yeah.
It's a great cast.
It doesn't matter, does it?
That's all it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be as fancy or as powerful as you want it to be.
Yeah.
Or it can be just an overhead simple thump, bang, 30 yards out, double figure bass.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's not all about that.
I've analysed. I spent far too much time analysing casting videos.
Yeah, I've got
From John Holden right up through till
everything,
now.
right back to really early ones, Neil McKellar and
Yes,
all that things.
yeah.
I've gone through all of them. I've had a folder on my phone and analysing it, and in the end, I just spent hours with the rod, and it's probably, like I think I mentioned last week, technically a terrible cast, but
To who though?
to whoever might be a casting coach
Okay.
or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's improved my fishing. I've started to catch more frequently and better fish, so it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've still got a long way to go in terms of being able to bang out a lead where I want, to the distance I want. Now, there are occasions where it does go awry and a bit all over the shop, but
Yeah.
that's fishing.
That's fishing, like you say. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a session 3 or 4 days ago, and my casting was absolutely on point.
Yeah.
But the session before that, I could not put a bait. It was going over there. It was going over there. I was on a flat surface.
Yeah.
There wasn't any rhyme or reason for it.
Yeah.
But that is fishing. That's all part of. That's part of when we turn up. We don't even know how we're going to cast some days, do we?
I mean, you generally get a feel for the moment you get out the vehicle that, you know, you're going to have a stinker. And like, both of us have come off a night shift today. And I just said to you then, that first cast, pulled for a break, lost it, no worries, banged out another one. So I'm setting up the other leader on the other spool, because I'm obviously fixed spool, I just swapped my spools out. And I trimmed the wrong tag. Instead of trimming the tag in, I trimmed the main line. It was like,
Well, today,
Just-
my night shift head is me. I've actually brought 8 reels with me by accident. So I picked up 4 on the way back from the servicing,
Yeah.
and I didn't take out the other 4. So I've got 8 reels in my box, and I wondered why it was heavy.
I think of it as a workout, you know?
Yeah,
Thankfully
exactly.
It's not a huge walk here, but
Yeah.
hey, 8 reels, well done.
Well, I know I've never done that before, and of course, then I've left my baiting scissors in the car.
Oh.
So you know, I'm getting by with a knife.
Yeah,
It'll be
mate.
all right. It'll be
yeah.
okay.
Well, I got scissors, yeah.
Oh,
so,
nice one.
Yeah, I know that brain fog.
Night
from
fog.
Night shift. It's just, it's.
But you know what? The night fog sometimes isn't different to a mental health fog,
yeah.
is it?
Do you know what? It's strange you say that, because it's not like you're when people say, oh, you must be knackered after a night shift. It's not like a knackered as in, it's like a hangover with being in a daze in
Yes.
terms of just staring blankly into space.
Yeah.
And then half hour later going, oh, what was I doing?
Yeah. I call it my zombie day.
Yeah, it's bizarre, and it's really not healthy for us. I can guarantee, and I'm sure somewhere I've read it or been told something that it's actually carcinogenic.
Yeah.
Shift work. So I'm clearly shortening my life by doing this. So yeah, my life mission at the moment is 1, try and improve my mental health, and 2, stop shift work.
Are you doing anything else to improve mental health, or you're just doing the fishing? Or you're just going to try and concentrate?
Well, prior to Spooligan, I was looking to get into sort of yoga or Pilates, because post-rugby, I've struggled to replace it. And I think, I'll touch on it in a minute, that I think that's part of my mental health decline, was giving up rugby or retiring
Lack
from
of
rugby.
physical.
It could be the physical exercise, because I know that's very good for the mind, very good for your sort of well-being. But it was, I think, my identity.
Okay.
Because I've always been a rugby boy from 6, 7 years of age, something like that. And a bit like fishing, it's a community, it's a group of people, like-minded individuals, generally lunatics.
Yeah.
And I've grown up with them. We've travelled around the world playing and got into some scrapes, and on a Saturday, it's you and 14 other boys. If things go off, you stick together. And it was always that, even outside of, or off the rugby pitch, whether it was in the pub or it was in school or wherever it was, it was always a community, and I was one of those characters within that community. And my identity was a rugby boy. And that was growing up in Barry, coming from an all-boys school, rugby boy. That was who I was. Not that I was a sort of a bully or laddish or sort of a dickhead with it. I was just a rugby boy. It's sort of, like this saying goes, like sort of the gentleman, but raving lunatics. Which is probably quite true. And when I retired, begrudgingly, mainly because my body was starting to fail, it took a while to kick in that I was no longer this rugby boy. And it got to a point where I couldn't even go up the rugby club to go and watch the current team play, and that, because I felt so out of it. I was just like,
you lost your place as sort of in the team, as it were.
It was the identity of who Craig was. If you'd asked anyone when I was a youngster, who was Craig? Oh, rugby boy. And it was what defined me, what identified me. It was, I was a rugby boy. I was proud to be a rugby boy. I was always fit and healthy, and when I wasn't working, be playing and out in the night, in our shirt and tie and our blazer, and we thought we were the Mets. We thought we were the Dons,
Yeah.
And then when that went, I think
it's a whole, isn't it?
That may have triggered something, or may have. I think I've always had issues. I know right from an early age I'm slightly different to most people. The way I think, the way I see things, whether it's the creative side of me, I don't know. But I've always known I'm a little bit weird. And, as I'm getting older, I'm quite proud to be weird.
Yes, I'm laughing, but I'm agreeing with you as well.
No, I've always tried to be an individual. Tried not to follow trends. I've tried to set them, sometimes disastrously. Nose piercings at 48 and things like that. And most people are like, what? And I'm like, so what?
Why?
Because I want to.
Yeah.
It's because I never could have them when I was a rugby player.
Yeah.
You can't have piercings playing rugby.
So do you think you found your identity again in fishing? Do you think that's possible?
Yeah.
Maybe change things?
It's my release. I think I've said to you prior that I use it now as my release. It's the one opportunity that my mind goes blank from everything else. I'm not thinking about other things. I'm focused on what I'm doing, how long my cast's been out, trying not to get which cast is out and which rod's which, and not cutting the wrong piece of line and silly things like that. But it's definitely my go-to activity. Obviously now with Spooligan, I don't really have much choice. It's kind of a roller coaster I'm on, and that's it. I'm on it now. So it's definitely it's my thing.
It sounds to me like you've actually found a brand new identity, and also when you said about the rugby thing, when that ends, you do it's a strange word to use, but people do grieve the loss of this stuff. When you've been a part of something for a long time and you change and it suddenly stops, a whole part of your life changes, just literally sometimes like that, and that's huge, that's massive, and it takes a lot of adjustment, doesn't it?
It's weird to describe. Most people are like, oh, you don't play anymore. I'm like, no. I went on tour to a veterans tournament over in Beauvais in France, and it's generally a lot of drinking involved. I think the day prior to the tournament there was about 18 hours worth of drinking, so we're hardly turning up as finely tuned athletes. But progressively throughout the day, my ability that you'd be able to identify an opportunity in the game where you're like, right, I know he's got 20 yards of me, but I've got pace, I'll tackle him. Yeah. And it was just failing. And I was like, I think it's time to stop this. It's a bit embarrassing because there were guys there in their 70s still playing, held together by neoprene and insulating tape, but they were still playing. And
Everyone's different, aren't they?
I was there at the time, 38, and I'm like, that's it, I'm done. I'm hanging my boots up. I can't do this. You know, I'd play on a Saturday, ache like hell till sort of Tuesday, Wednesday when there was training, and then be wrecked all week, and then just about recover for another game, and it was just a cycle of I just couldn't recover.
It sounds to me like you made a pretty good informed decision.
I just didn't want to get to one of these people who played on, and ended up having joint replacements and, you know, teeth knocked out, and well, I've had them knocked out, but you know, just damaging myself to the point where I couldn't enjoy later life, and, you know, certainly fishing and things like that.
Right, I think it's time we had a break and had a cup of tea, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I've got Monster to, you know, sugar and caffeine to try and keep myself going from last night's shift. So
that'll do it.
All right, mate. Well, I need a fresh bait, so let's go.
Superb. So here we are. Tide's just approaching low.
Yeah.
The weather's improving. Wind's dropping. Sun's come out again. Bit chilly. That's why we've got hoods up. It's got to be good for a bite, though, isn't it? Got to be.
Well, I normally like the ebb at Fonty, but like, you know, every tide's different. It could, as soon as it's changed the bottom of the tide and starts flooding, it could light up. So far I've had one little nibble which pulled for a break on it, got snagged, I could feel it hit the ledge, gone. I know Hugh's had a couple of little nibbles. Yeah, it's not electric today, but still time.
Still plenty of time.
Yeah,
Always time.
We'll give the flood a little go. I tend to snag, well, lost two ends already, but I tend to snag on the flood, but you never know. Today might be a flood tide. It might switch on and fish decide to come and play ball. But yeah, I've had bluey and squid out there. Squid, I think there's some prawn and squid out there now at the moment. I didn't bring a whole deal of bait to me today, purely because it was sort of a last minute going to grab bait. Ideally looking for ray with the odd chance of a hound, possibly, because Aberthor is only to our right, and the mark that I was considering taking you today, just around the corner, is the definite hound mark, but huge ankle breaking boulders, and not really ideal place to sort of sit and chat. And
not for two blokes that just come off a night shift, that's for sure.
No, not at all. And somebody who's got a trashed ankle from nearly snapping it down the nap last year. Yeah.
So, have you any future plans for fishing? What's anything on the cards? Anything on the horizon? Anything you're thinking, right, I'm gonna have a go at that soon? Or
yeah, there's beach cast wise. You know, we've had quite a few suggestions in from people. Some are later in the year. There's one up in Anglesey. Gary Pye wants to meet me up there for tow, and there's another lad on Anglesey, and his Instagram is Harry's 20 something. His username. He seems keen as mustard, and I'm looking forward to sort of teaming up with him. There is one in particular, a lad, Scott, from Blackpool area, only in his 30s. He's had some ill health and he's got an internal defib and he's not allowed to drive. And he messaged and said, my dream is to catch a big skate. And I'm like, all right, well, that's Scotland, you know.
Yeah.
And I got chatting to Liam Gunn, as it happens, around about that time, and literally yesterday he sent me, and I swear, if when I print it off, it's going to be a folder like that of the marks, the navionic pictures, everything. And I mean, it's the most extensive detail I could have ever asked for of somebody. So that's probably going to be October, November. He said you could have gone now, but you'll get eaten alive by midgies.
Yep.
So yeah, October, November's that's a big something for me to look forward to. I've never caught a big skate, have you?
No, never.
No.
No.
So yeah, it's a definite first for me. If we get one, there's no guarantee obviously it's fishing, but yeah, he's put us on some great marks. Some of the marks are like 200 foot deep, and he said there's stuff down there up to 200 pounds. So I'm like, I don't know whether it's excitement or fear.
Yeah.
The thought of dragging something like that out. Myself.
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean I'm hoping myself to get out to West Wales this year with my South Wales wingman Si.
Yeah, man, come on down. It's,
get out there and see. I really fancy. I don't know why. I've got my mindset on catching some bull huss, and I'd like to catch a nice bull huss.
St. Justinian's, baby.
Yes,
Love that place. No one's going to ask me twice to go there.
No,
it is the best place. That Ramsey Sound area. You think this is nice? Wait till you go on there. Oh my word! Oh my word! It is the most picturesque, the most tranquil, the most it's just the best. That's it. Like I mentioned in our videos, that's where my ashes are going. I've told the wife I'm going there. You know what I mean? If there's anywhere I'm going to be at peace and at rest, it's that place.
So have you got any actual targets locally this year?
Not locally. My fishing, like I said earlier, it tends to be as and when I've got availability, either through work, family, or Spooligan stuff. It's, right, that's when I can go. I'm going to have to go, whether it's local. I do tend to come here quite a lot, purely because it's literally a minute from the house. It's one of those venues that one day is fabulous, next day is a blank.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not today.
Yeah.
Bigger ones, I want to get down west with John. His caravan is down that way, sort of the Cardigan Bay area. And I think I was chatting to him a couple of days ago about a 2-day sesh where one day we'll go after bullets, taupe, and then the other day maybe some wrasse or smaller stuff. I love it down there. It's just a different world. The isolation, no phone signal. It's just bliss. So, not in terms of actual targets, but just days out. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to. Yeah, I'd like to beat my taupe, the E66, which is tiddly compared to some.
It's bigger than mine because I've never caught one.
No,
never.
It took me 18 months to get that one, mine. So
yeah.
I say I'm no prolific angler by any means, but
do you think? I mean, successful anglers, I've always believed it's just down to pure rod time. It's line in the water time, isn't it?
Yeah, there is an element of that, but I have fished with people who are just fish magnets, literally fish magnets. Local boys, Gav Griffiths, obviously Gigi, Human Trawler, Mario Asbrow, Dean Booker, people, Lee Byrne, are just, they can chuck out bare hooks and catch. Me, I could have the best baits, the best rigs, nicest cast, nothing.
What do you think that is? Is it just purely on local knowledge? And I know we talked.
Yeah, there's experience, because you think all those people I just mentioned, they're very experienced anglers who probably put in a lot of rod time. I just think they're natural fishermen. They're just naturals who know how to present a bait, know where to cast, when to go there. Whether it's knowledge, experience, or natural ability, I'm not quite sure, but I do believe that you have people who are natural fishermen.
I do.
For effort and enthusiasm, I'm up there. In terms of results, not a chance. Nowhere near. So
I mean, one of those anglers that springs to mind in the cart was obviously Terry Hearn, and he's just I think whatever he seems to put his hand to in coarse fishing, he seems to absolutely empty.
There's some big names in there in that sort of those circles. Even the ones you see on TV, Ali Hamidi, Spooner, Dovey, all them. Great anglers. That's probably why they're on TV, because they're great anglers and they probably come across well on camera and things like that. But yeah, I'm a firm believer that there are natural fishermen who are just
destined to catch fish forever.
Yes. Yeah. And sadly, I'm not one of them.
No, I feel the same.
I mean, I can put all the effort in the world, and I enjoy the effort, the chase, the going after it. Like taupe, for example, now 18 months of travelling down west at various times, putting in the hours, putting the effort, and when it actually happens, over the moon, all right, it's at a size that most people would think that it's little.
What does that moment feel like though, when you waited 18 months and then the ratchet goes?
I knew it was going to come one day, and John wasn't with us this day. It was just Carl and I, and we turned up to Stackpole, and we were like, yeah, this feels like the day. Gigi was actually asleep in his car. I think he was doing a week's guiding with clients down there. So I kind of knocked on the window, and this sort of bleary-eyed character was like, oh, who's that? That's Craig, mate. He's like, oh, he's coming. So we stomp over, and like you say, whose rods and stuff is already there, because he's fishing there for the week, so that's fair enough. But yeah, when you put all that effort in and the endless miles back and forth to West Wales, I got to credit Carl, because he was the one who was mackerelling and actually caught mackerel, fresh bait. If it was left to me, we wouldn't have had anything. Again, you shit on feathers as I am on beach casting. But yeah, to actually get it and land it and have the photo with it, it's phenomenal. I mean, it's pride and place. The picture at home. Yeah, it's not a huge one, but it's more the achievement of going after something and actually getting there eventually. I mean, I can always improve on the size, and as you learn what tide on the ebb, what size tide, whether the moon phase is plays a factor, I don't know. But this year, I'd like to beat that. I think beat 36.6.
That's doable.
Oh, totally. I mean, I know Ben Cook, who I think he's very local to Stackpole, and he'll nip across and just have a couple of hours. He's regularly hitting 50s. Like they're just to a penny. He's a very, very good angler and knows exactly how to fish Stackpole and that sort of Pembrokeshire area. So it's totally doable. That fish are there, so the rest is up to me. In terms of my knowledge, my technique, my preparation. The fish are there, so at the end of the day, then that battle is between me and the fish, not the fact that there's nothing out there. And I'm a bit like today, are they there? We don't know. We'll see. But that's 2024. I did coin it as the year of the PB at the beginning of the year. So
still got
somebody like me, that's not difficult to have a PB.
What are your PBs? Let's go through your PBs.
Not particularly great, and to be honest, I don't really memorise them.
Bull
Us was recent. That's £9.7 again. Bugger all. Smooth down £11.1 or £11.11. I can see 111. It's very small on wrasse. Cod I'm rubbish at. Never done anything. Eels on a boat. It was mid-20s, and that was with Gareth Griffith's father on the old Unity out of Barry. Shore. I don't think it's even £8-9 from the shore.
It's not.
Eels.
I remember you saying last time we met. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still a mission for me. It is.
Yeah.
But there you are. There's something that I'm going to do this year. Is double figure eel.
Again,
preferably.
very doable.
Totally. I mean, you watch Gareth from Riverside and me. He pulls them out down the Newport area for fun.
Yeah.
20-odd pounders, and and he uses it when I think he calls it the cheapy old boat rod. It was like when he used to go fishing with his father. It's this cheapish rod, but it always catches, And again, it's a very short little dinky cast, and he's smashing them out. So they're there.
Yeah.
So it's me. It's the issue is me. My battle with trying to get a double, and preferably on my bass rod. I want to make it fun.
Of course you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I personally, I always set something a year,
Okay.
and it's not always massive. It's not even But last year I was quite fortunate to catch 2 or 3 double figure thornbacks over my side. This year the aim is to catch a brace. That's the aim, and I know a place I think I can get it. But
Double shot.
A double shot of double figure thornbacks.
I know you can do it on small lines at Ogmore, because I know Lee and...
Not so much a double shot on the same rig, but just in the same session.
Oh, with you?
A double...
To have that photo of a sort of Instagram perfect.
That's the one.
Like you see on the Century page.
That's the one.
What's the lad? I can't think of his name.
Jason Atkins.
Boosh.
There you
That's
go.
him.
Yeah.
Forever having a pair of crackers.
Yeah.
You've got to have a nice rock pool next
Of course,
to you.
yeah.
But yeah, it just looks awesome, doesn't it?
It does.
That kind of nice wide angle shot.
Yeah.
Pair of nice cracking rays. Yeah. I'm never that good. I know I've got a couple on my phone of John here actually, with a pair of really nice rays, and I'm never that lucky to sort of pull in multiple fish. I'm not on the odd one here and there sort of thing. So
I never get caught, never get bored of catching rays. Hang on.
Ooh,
What'd you say?
slack line.
Oh, you have as well. Oh, that's cool. You could be in. Right.
Well, there we go. First fish of the sesh. Tiny little smooth arm pup on the prawn and squid. Thankfully, Hugh was being more attentive than I was, because obviously Damo and I were chatting on camera. Next thing, Hugh screaming, "Your line's all over the rocks!" So yeah, pleased with that. First fish of the sesh. He was deep hooked, so I'm going to let him recover a little bit before he goes back. So we'll get him in a rock pool, make sure he's fine, and get him on his way. So the rig, what's left of it, shall I say? Prawn and squid, 2.0 BMX on the bottom. When it was presented, that was just showing, and on the top, which is the one that did the business, is a small circle, which would have been cutched in behind there at an angle going off, and there it's a bit battered because it was quite a deep hook, so I did my best to unhook him as cleanly as I possibly could. That is on a long pulley, a good sort of 5-6 footer. Always my favourite rig at Fonty. I know some people like a circle on a dongle for hounds with little crab baits, but for now always does the trick. Woo!
Wow.
Yeah, well, thanks to Hugh for that. I won't claim that I saw the bite or anything like that.
We were oblivious.
It was just a loud holler from Hugh to say your line's all over the rock. So welcome nonetheless. Not a particularly big hound, but a bit of a pup. But thankfully he went back all right. Did worry at first. There was a bit of blood, but he recovered well and off he goes.
You said the tide might produce something. And
It tends to be that kind of place. It doesn't sort of fish all the way through the tide. It's sort of either all on the ebb, bugger all, and then I don't tend to fish flood too much because I tend to snag a lot, but I snagged earlier, so what do I bloody know?
You've done your snagging.
Yeah, I've done my snagging, what do I bloody know? But yeah, getting close to, well, it's probably on the change now in a sec. But yeah, fingers crossed. We can have another cheeky hour of action. It wouldn't go amiss. It'd be nice.
That'd be lovely, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So, but thanks to Hugh for that. I won't take claim for that. That was the keen eye of Hugh. Probably because my line probably landed on his head. Yeah, we were too busy chatting.
But in a great though, is the slack line bite possibly one of the best you can get, or do you prefer the screamer?
If it results in a fish, I don't care.
Yeah. I love the sound of a ratchet myself, but
yeah, I gotta admit, I said, oh, it's crowing, what the hell that was. The best I think I've ever had was a blonde off of Friar's Point. I honestly thought it was a seal.
really,
It would not stop, and I did not. I was screaming at John, "What do I do? What do I do?" And it just wouldn't. It wouldn't stop. It was just going and going. He's like, just slowly tighten down and slowly tighten down. And I managed to stop it and turn it around. It wasn't a huge fish, sort of low doubles, but what an animal! It wouldn't stop. But honestly, I genuinely thought it was a seal.
yeah,
It was that strong a pull.
yeah.
I've had one here that pretty much I was just about to hang out trace on the stand. I almost took my rod completely off. I got a photo of that somewhere. That was just over 10, but went off like a train. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's more exciting, the ratchet.
Yes.
But it's also a visual thing that when you see that line just go like that, and thinking, ooh, that's something good.
You automatically think that somebody's dislodged my lead and taken that much line is
Yes,
going to have some
yeah,
value in it.
But now and again, it does tend to be a humongous clump of weed or a tree or a bag.
Yes,
But,
it does.
yeah, I'll agree. I think I'll go with you on that, Damo. The screaming ratchet is definitely the more exciting option of the two.
At the moment, this moment, exact time, I will take anything, anything. Single clicks, I'm happy with that too.
Yeah, definitely. Never know, mate. You said you've got prawn and squid out there?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so sit tight.
Slightly shorter pulley rig than you. I've gone for about 3.5, 4 foot.
Nice and long, yeah, nice and long.
Yeah.
100%.
It's an interesting one. Over on our side, I personally tend to use 2.5 maximum.
No.
But here, it's the long pulley. Why do you think? Why is
I haven't
that?
got a clue why, because I know the angle we're at. You think where your lead is, and you project that line back to your main line, to your tip, and then you think that snood then is cascading off in the tide somewhere. So it's not nailed to the bottom, but because of the angle of the line, it is flapping around the bottom. But John is the one who transformed me onto longer pulleys. I mean, I used to come with 3 foot, something like that, and I'd see him with these things that barely, it couldn't fit on his stand, and he fished with a 7 foot stand. And I'm like, so I started saying, why that long? He said, trust me, I did it. Absolutely transformed my fishing. The longer, I don't know how it works.
No.
And to be honest, I'm not really mind. I don't understand it, but I did it out of recommendation, and yeah, it works. And there you go. A hound. Some people like the dongle. That was just smaller hooked Pennell, 2.0 bottom and circle on the top. Both small baits, small hooks. It was only a putt, but yeah, it worked.
I'd like to know what the difference is really between using an up and over, a long up and over, and a long pulley.
See, there's a guy that is a friend of Spooligan who lives down in Bridgend, Alan Brown, and he ex-sea masters, like in his day, top fisherman, and he showed me a rig. It's like a fixed pattern Oster that is technically an up and over, but he uses like a twisted paper clip at the top to have his bait high. Yeah. Now, me personally, I like to have my bait beyond my lead.
I do. Yeah.
So the up and over would be a version of that, where you swivel and your snood comes from the bottom, and it's nailed close to the thing. and he says it outfishes every rig. I've made one. I haven't had a chance to use it yet. I've made it into an up and over purely because I don't want my bait up there and my lead down there. But Alan, by his own admissions, an old school angler, he uses a wooden 2 sticks instead of a tripod.
Yeah.
And prolific fisherman. So I'm like, I am going to do an episode of Beach Cats with him because I think his story of his fishing experience, and he's a bit about me, likes to create stuff and comes up with these ideas. There was his wisdom that the Spooligan came from. So he used different bits of kit and he makes these things, and he's got some prototype hook ideas he's working on in the background. Yeah.
There could be anglers out there right now with thousands of these little ideas, these little quirks.
Sure. Everyone's got their own little workaround, or they've created something, and that's kind of how I got into this. I wanted, because I'm a bit of a weird organised person, and I like clean and tidy, and that's where the first ever holster come, which is this god awful orange thing, which is now in a frame in my room with day one written underneath it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, there's probably loads of guys out there who've got their own little things they make. I know Dyke Llewellyn, John was telling me he makes himself little tools and a little device for holding his leader when he's tying on a new one. So I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who've got fantastic ideas. That maybe they want to keep to themselves because it's their idea, or whether they want to go and get it made somewhere. Definitely.
So this is a bit of a weird question, but it's something I'm just interested in. I make all my rigs in my garage, okay, always in the garage, and I've got hooks. Screwing hooks on my worktop, all set up at different lengths to do my rig tying. Do you do your rig tying in a garage, or do you do it at home in front of the television?
Mine's mobile.
Is it?
Because when I'm on my night shifts, I tend to take it with me. If I'm quiet and I haven't got a ship in and I'm loading or offloading a ship, I keep everything mobile. I do want to be super duper organised and have one of these sort of shelving racks with everything labelled 203040, everything like that. But I need to be able to take it with me, because if I'm on a 12-hour night shift, if it's quiet, I might as well make time making rigs. How many rigs
you knock out in a go?
Depends what I'm doing. I've just gone over to an idea that John started. I remember saying to him a while back, I want to have this filing system, so that at home you make up loads of rigs, and then pre-session you go ding, 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 and you make your selections based on ones you've got made up, and they go into a box. And I think it's a real case. And you just buy the resealable bags from Amazon, eBay, something like that.
Yep.
And John found it and sourced it, and it works beautifully. At home I've got a pouch full of, whether it's West Wales rigs, Ray rigs, pound rigs, dongles, the DDL rig I've made, and then depending on where I'm going, I'll slot in what I think I'm likely going to use. So last week in Cornwall, I think I took one of everything.
Yeah.
It was like a bloody big thing like this, but.
I was chatting to Si the other day, and we were talking about restricting our kit, because we all carry a massive amount of kit, including me, 8 reels today for some reason. But we were talking about how we can scale down things, and I've got one rig wallet, about so big. I think it's a Sonic one I've had since 15 years. It's got 2 layers in it. Top one is my dongle rigs, bottom one is my loop rigs. And that is pretty much all I take with me, unless I go down south. I've got a smaller one with 2 up flappers, bits and pieces, and the rest of it on it. But I think I find myself deconstructing rigs, because I think, I don't need that anymore, so I deconstruct that one. Otherwise I'll have rigs and rigs and rigs everywhere, so I kind of take bits off of one, and I don't use that anymore.
I harvest parts back off them.
Yeah, I do.
Swivels, not so much hooks, unless you can feel a really keen point on them. I don't tend to recycle them. But beads, swivels, I recycle them. They look fine. I know some people will be like, oh no, what if it snaps in your cast? Or...
So how often would you recycle a rig? A couple of times?
It just goes on the appearance, I think.
Yeah.
A rig?
Yeah.
I tend to lose it before I replace it. Either getting snagged, like today, 2 or 3 have gone today, but but back when I was a student, I used to nip off from sort of lessons or lectures and go down the Barry coastline and look for weights, swivels and that, because I was a poor ass student. And,
that was almost as good as fishing, finding all these leads and rigs and bits and bobs. I used to have a pair of nail clippers in my pocket, a little bucket, and then I'd trim it all down, take the scraps, chuck it in the bin, and then leads, take home, and it was just a way of saving money, because I didn't really have a great deal of money then. I know some people have got
massive bulging rig wallets, and they've got one for hounds, one for rays. I'm like, I don't want to be like that. I want to, at home, have a sort of filing system or a library of rigs.
Yeah.
And then, like today is, right, I know it's long pulleys here, generally. But then I've got various hooks. You know, I've even got smaller ones too. I call it a micro pennel. It's just basically a smaller pennel and smaller bait, because I know Gareth and Cornwall tried it and had a nice huss on it. You know, on a smaller bait, smaller prawn bait. So that's something that will always be in my wallet now, is scratching rigs as well as my favourite rig for the day, or rigs for the day, and then in various hook sizes. You know, just to tweak it, tailor it. Then my 4.0 fish baits today, not being touched. First cast on prawn and squid, bang. Now some people would just put prawn, but I know at Fontygary, when I first moved to Roos 12, 13 years ago, the local boys used to fish here back when dirty squid was, you know, the buzzword of, it wasn't just squid, it was dirty squid.
That's right.
I mean, it was just like pink.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there was any difference.
It looked like it'd been left out the freezer for
that's
like 3
all
weeks.
Used.
Yeah.
When I used to come down for walks, and you know, like, oh, boys, are you getting on? Yeah, boy, fishing squid. So, with what? They're like, no, just squid. Trust me, everything that swims here takes it. I'm like, really? And ever since then, I've always brought squid with me to Fonty.
I think it's a staple in everyone's box, isn't it, squid?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it was like some of the questions when we ask on the beach cast, if you had one bait you would ever choose, squid, but, you know, Paul down the Gower, peeler crab.
Yeah.
Don't know if that's because of the type of fishing he does down the Gower. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I think it's a good question to ask people regularly if you ever had one bait. I think most people would agree squid.
I think squid. Yeah, I think squid
Most
and peeler crab come very close. I don't think there's many things that won't take peeler crab.
No, it's just I can't afford.
Exactly. Well, exactly that. I mean, I went to buy some today, and I just couldn't justify it.
I'm not when prawn.
Not with prawn.
I mean, I bought mine from Holland Road Angler today, but generally, if I'm going hound fishing, I'll go to Iceland, buy the 3 bags for tenner.
That's the ones.
And
yeah.
I had hounds on them last year.
Yeah.
Like 3 for tenner, and they're in the freezer.
That's the ones I was using them last year as well, and they stopped doing them for some reason. My local Iceland, they can't buy them, which is devastating.
All the fishermen bought them.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
No one having a barbecue. It's all fishermen.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah.
It looks good in the freezer, but my missus ain't very keen when they're actually going out and being put on the hook rather than in a nice prawn boona or something.
Oh, I know you're talking. You like cooking,
I don't mind cooking curry. That's about the limit of it.
Oh, okay.
I would call myself a good curry chef.
That's not a bad repertoire to have, my curry.
No.
I mean, on a westerly today, the Indian restaurant that's up on the hill there, if you get a bit more of a northwesterly, it's horrible to fish because all you can do is you're like, oh my word, that smells amazing.
Yeah, I've already got what I'm ordering on the menu formulating in my mind. When I'm going up there, I'm already seeing the keema naan, the poppadom, chicken madras.
Boy.
It's hell. Talking. It's torturous.
Yeah.
It is torturous. But yeah, I think prawn is an underrated bait without a doubt.
It's never anything I used as a kid. I know some people will put a drop net over the side of the harbour with some fish guts and heads and bits and bobs in it, and we'll get them. And I know John's father used to fish a mark just to the south here, to the east of us, Bendrick Rock, which is in between the Green Light and Sully Island, and he used to get live prawn and float fish them with bass. I mean, it's not something I did as a kid because I wouldn't know how to get prawn when I was that age. If it swims out there, then I'm sure the fish are predating it.
Last bit on bait. I'm keen to hear what you have to say about this. What's your verdict on carp? I know there was a big phase about a couple of years ago when suddenly carp was everywhere, wasn't it? Yeah. And in theory, you'd think that would catch a fish every time, wouldn't you? In theory.
I've used a little bit of it. Now, I bought it from Baits to Go, Jason Wibley in Cardiff. And he does, I don't know what he does, but he salts it or puts some sort of curing salts on it, and it toughens it up slightly. I think the first time I ever used it was just a gooey mess, and I didn't know what I was doing. And you watch these northeast lads who go after some cod up there, and they love their carp, their mussels and things like that. Yeah, you think that's something that gooey and stinky, the fish are going to love it. Yeah. When I've used it, South Wales, generally eels.
Yeah. That's all I've had on it.
So maybe I should. I'm after my double figure up.
There's your answer. There's your answer.
Right, I'll have to go and see Jason at Baits to Go.
That's it.
I like it.
I like it.
Yeah, I can see why people take a flask to keep it as cold as possible
Yeah.
and handle it as little as possible. I know the Northeast boys are doing, like, they call them cart boilies, but they're just like wraps. They twist them up into a tight, compact sausage, and they put them on dongles and things like that. And I know they get great success on the cod. But yeah, no, I quite like it as a bait. Yeah, definitely. It's not the cheapest, but you know, and I've seen it in like a sandwich tub form. When I've bought it, it's just like vacuum packed wings. And they've obviously got some sort of curing salt on which toughens them up, makes it a little bit easier to work with. But yeah, it's good. I like it. You just got to be careful with the wrapping. Don't go too tight.
I made the huge mistake of buying a slab of it, and of course I went home. I thought I'm going to chop it up in little pieces, and by the time I'd got halfway through it, it was just a mess. It's an absolute mess, and that kind of put me off a little bit. Like I said, I've only ever caught eels on it, but I'm willing to give it a go again. I think I'm gonna stick a bit in my freezer and see.
The shame is, it's obviously, certainly with us and your side over there, there's not much cod to go after, and you know, by all accounts, they love the cod. In theory, you'd think that the bass would like it, the hounds would like it. I don't know if anyone's used it on the hounds. I'm not sure.
You'd think a prawn and a carp bait would be pretty lethal, wouldn't you, combined?
Yeah. I mean, I've never put those two together, but yeah, that's definite. Yeah. I mean, I really need to get some for that eel chase.
Yes, I thought I'm going to be watching this.
Else.
What's that?
You got something small there, like a white
so.
Or...
Yeah. Oh, it's
I know.
Oh, it's a little eel. Funny enough.
Strap.
There we go.
I couldn't see where it was behind his sleeve. That boy's. Yeah, a little strap. Yeah. Well done, mate.
He's had a good day. He's all right. There it goes. They all count.
Yeah,
they all count. On that note, I'm going to have another cup of tea, and do you know what I'm going to do next? I'm going to get the longest up and over rig out of my wallet I can find, and it's going out.
Do it, man. Yeah. I know about up and over, pulley.
I haven't got a long one at the moment.
I'll have a look, see if I got anything in there. So, okay.
That's what happens.
Let's go have a drink.
Brilliant. Right, well that's about it, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. So roughly an hour after tide. I don't tend to fish any later than this at Fonty.
My rod's not going to go, so I'm going to pack it down.
No, fair enough, mate. It's hardly electric today, and unfortunately, it was sort of the best choice we could make with the size tide and the sort of timings during the day, and both coming off a night shift, which is a bit grueling, shall we say. It's nice to meet Hugh.
Yes.
Top bloke.
Absolutely.
The hound made it.
Yeah.
It was nice to get something out, and I think you had a spotty, strap, and I'm sure you had something else.
I think I might have had a dog, I can't remember.
Hugh's done okay as well, and it was nice to meet him. So,
yeah.
1 minute drive home for me. Thankfully not a long one today, but hour and a half for you?
Hour and 20.
Hour and 20, so this time you should clear Newport in a reasonable time. So
it's worth it just to come to this coastline. I've said it many times, you know, I said just now, you guys are blessed over here. It is something different, and it's a credible fishery. It really is.
Now wind's definitely picking up.
Yes, it is.
So apology if there's wind noise on the mic. It's been a pleasure to be on the first episode of The Call of the Sea. Honoured to be the first guest. I know some of the guests that Damo's got lined up are pretty good, mate. So
it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great to hear from other people, and like you with the beach cast, it's all about listening to what people have to say. Let's sit down and talk. Let's spend a bit of time just here. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You know, let's just get out and get fishing.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolute pleasure fishing with you again, Craig.
Mate, and I'm sure I'll be over your way again.
Anytime. Anytime at all.
I sure like it. It's like looking at my life. So. Okay. All the best.
Thank you.
Cheers,
See you
guys.
soon.